I don't use feeders anymore because some of the deer have gotten wise to them and will skirt the area completely. You want to make sure that there's a tree or some brush behind where you feed so the deer can't stand and look in your direction while they're eating. A lot of times I'll drag up some brush to make a sort of a barrier to make sure that the deer are standing so that they're broadside or slightly quartering away from me when they eat. Ideally, I want my camera placed 10 to 15 feet from my feed and position it so that when the deer look at it, that they will be looking away from you. Now, most of the time when you get pictures of deer at night, they're going to be looking at the camera. They will actually kind of get in a habit of facing that way when they come in, and they'll be facing that way in the daytime too. Once you set up your feed and your camera, then you need to clear some shooting lanes. I like to have three. I like to have one on the feed and one on either side of it. The more stand locations that you have, the better your odds are finding the deer that you're looking for moving in the daytime. I usually set up several places and watch them for a week or so before I ever hang a stand to make sure I've got daytime movement and I've got a deer in there that's something that I want to pursue. A lot of times I've set up in an area and after a week the biggest buck in the area was maybe a 4-point. So I'm not going to want to spend any time in that area. I'll pull my camera and go try another spot. Now, a month or two from now, I may go back to that spot and just see if things have changed, see if a bigger buck has started to work the area. Once I find a big buck, I'm going to keep that site active as long as he's coming in like 3 times a week or so, because chances are at some point during the season he'll work that area a few days during the daytime. Now, I never hunt less than 20 feet off the ground. Most of the time it's 25 to 35 feet. These urban deer have had so much pressure that they come in, they're looking up in the trees. If they see anything out of place, they'll just turn and walk away. When I approach my stand, I try to park at least a quarter of a mile away and walk in. Try to avoid any trails or cover that the deer might be using. And walk fast. Walk as quiet as you can, but walk fast. If a deer sees you walking fast, a lot of times they'll stand back there and just watch you walk by. Now, if they see you sneaking in, they know something's up and they're going to head the other way. When I'm feeding and checking my cards, I try to drive as close as possible and get in and out of there as quick as I can. I try to do my feeding at night or during midday. It doesn't seem to spook the deer as much at night. A lot of times I've had pictures of a buck and 1 minute before I got there and then have the same picture of the same buck 15 to 30 minutes afterwards. Scent control. Now, I don't believe it's possible to be completely scent free, but try to do everything that you can. Wash your clothes in the scent free stuff and be very particular about that. Take a shower. Wear rubber boots because canvas and leather can soak up odors. You know, I always try to play the wind, but in these hills in Arkansas, this wind swirls really bad, and so you'll get busted if there's any scent that's not natural. Now, that means no smoking. Avoid getting gas before you go to the woods. I won't even step inside my wife's beauty shop before a hunt because those smells will permeate my clothes and get me busted. Don't eat anything with a strong odor on your stand. It means no peppermint, no oranges, anything that you can smell. A deer can probably smell 100 yards away. When you get out of your truck, spray down everything. Don't forget to spray your cap because you sweat a lot on your head and a lot of times those odors will be on your cap. Again, I don't think it's possible to be completely scent-free, but the closer to scent-free you are, it might make the difference in you getting the shot or not. Okay, so you've done everything right so far. Now you've got to draw your bow. This is what makes bow hunting such a challenge. Not only do you have to make sure that the deer that you're looking at, the one that you want, is not looking in your direction, but you have to make sure that there's no other deer in the area that are looking in your direction either. A deer can pick up a quick motion out of the corner of their eye and be staring at you before you can even think about being drawn. Because of this, you really need to learn how to shoot sitting down out of your tree. I also recommend that you reduce the poundage on your bow so that you can draw it slowly from a sitting position. I only shoot about 56, 57 pounds, and 8 out of 10 times the arrow passes complete through the deer, so you don't have to have a lot of power to kill a deer. And then your clothing has to be absolutely quiet when you draw. Most waterproof parkas and jackets will make some noise when it's below freezing. When you practice shooting from your tree, make sure none of your clothing will interfere with your bowstring. Shooting from a chair on the ground is not the same as shooting from your tree stand. The angle from the tree can change your anchor point and cause you to miss. So you need to practice from your tree, or from a tree. Where do you aim? We've all heard aim small, miss small. But it's really hard when you're excited to pick a spot on the deer. So what I try to do is I try to visualize the heart. And if that deer stands perfectly still, I want to aim so that my broadhead will sever the arteries at the top of the heart. Now, if it jumps the string a little bit, that's okay because you're going to get both lungs. If you miscalculate and hit a couple inches low, you're still in good shape because you put it right through his heart.